Hello and welcome to my FlossTube channel. I'm Jean Farish and I am so glad to be here with you today. For those of you who are keeping count, it has been 6 or 7 months since I've made a video. So I am just thrilled to be back here with you. I really appreciate the fact that you're here with me as well. And if you're so inclined, hit that subscribe button while you're thinking about it. So when I look back, I kind of had to refresh my memory as far as what steps I needed to take to be able to make one of these videos. So I look back on my last video clips and reminded myself that I actually made one on New Year's Eve. And I am not going to end up publishing it, but there are a couple clips that are in it that I thought I would share with you. So here's one. 2025 is here, and I am ready. I am ready to embrace the unwritten pages of a new book, the adventures that are both planned and unplanned, and the people I know and those that I've yet to meet. So I don't know about you, but it's always exciting, I think, to welcome a new year. And as you get older, you're just glad that you're here to welcome it. But you know, in the last days of 2024, I started thinking about January, and that led me to thinking about how the names of our months originated. And I kind of remembered this, but I looked it up just to be sure. And January is named after the Roman god Janus. And Janus was known for being able to look both forward and backward. And in that video, I went on to say that as I look back on 2024, I saw that I seemed to meander from one week to the next, especially toward the end of the year. And when I wondered why I accomplished so little of meaning in 2024, I also realized that I didn't write down any goals or objectives for myself either. Then I realized that I didn't set goals for myself for the beginning of 2025 either. I actually keep an old-fashioned written planner, and I have weeks and weeks and weeks that are just blank pages. And that's no coincidence that when I realized that I didn't get as much done as I would have liked, including making these videos, because as I said, I really do enjoy it. So here's the question I ask myself. Are goals for young people that are making their way? When I think back on my own youth, as I went to college to be a teacher, then I set a goal to find a teaching job. And once I found a teaching job, then I set goals for myself in my career as an educator. I was also setting goals and objectives for my students. In my personal life, I had goals for establishing a home for myself and my husband, and then later on my 2 daughters. So that was just a very natural part of my life. But the question is, are goals just for the young? Are goals just for a person who's setting off in a career or even following their own career path? Once you retire, and I'm not technically retired, but certainly of retirement age. But once we get to this stage of life, are goals still useful? And what I have discovered for myself, the answer for myself is that yes, they are. So I decided to set goals for the next half of 2025. These are general goals that I've set for myself, and they relate to my occupation as a needlework designer and teacher. This is my passion, so my goals are related to needlework. So here's the first one. I will do things with people I enjoy to foster a feeling of connection and community. So how am I going to do that? Well, already I teach classes, I organize stitching cruises, and I have plans for some in-person classes for guilds and shops in the coming, probably actually not in 2025, but definitely in 2026. So I guess the classes that I'll be teaching this year, 2025, mainly will be associated with the second cruise of 2025 for us, and that's the one to Alaska. And I'll be teaching a couple of classes on that cruise. And if I can get some Zoom classes set up for the second half of the year, I will. But that's sort of a penciled in objective. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do that. But another way that I do that is brainstorming with a wonderful Stitch Zoom group that a friend of mine set up. And there are about maybe a dozen of us that get together every week. Sometimes it's 3 or 4 or 5. Sometimes it's 8 or 9. So we all log on when we can and chat with each other and share what's going on in our lives, what we're stitching, etc. And that group has been very helpful to me as a designer to kind of use them as a sounding board. And they were very, very helpful in one of my Nashville releases, which I could actually, a little late to be showing you now. I mean, everybody has done their Nashville releases like a million years ago, but this is called Lady Elizabeth's Favorite Accessories. And I have a new setup here, so let me... But at any rate, one of the things that when I brainstormed with this group, one of the things they suggested was a biscornu. So I made that. And then there is... I love these humbug style scissor fobs. They're very easy to make, and I explain in the chart pack how to do the beaded finish as well. So there's the biscornu, the scissor fob, a needle book, just very, very simple, and again with the beads around the edge, and then the scissor sheath, or scissor keep, I also call it. So they are the things that are in Lady Elizabeth's accessories. And like I say, brainstorming with them really helped me kind of focus on how to put that together. My initial thought is I would have one publication with like the humbug style scissor fob for each one of the ladies, because there's 4 of them. There's Lady Elizabeth, Lady Charlotte, Lady Catherine, and Lady Virginia. And so I was going to do one publication that was all scissor fobs, one that was all needle books, one that was all biscornus. And my friend said, instead, why not just have a collection? Just do all of Lady Elizabeth's together. So hers is the one with this very, very traditional flower that comes from a, you can tell I'm trying to figure out where the camera is. So this flower came from a traditional English sampler. So that's Lady Elizabeth. So that was really helpful. And then, and one of the things I want to do going forward, building community, is, and this is not my original idea, and I don't remember who came up with the idea first, but you probably have all seen, okay, I feel like Vanna White, but I don't have like a mark on the stage to know where I should be looking and where I should be holding things. So you're all familiar with this cookbook that comes out every year, and the exhibitors and designers all contribute their favorite recipes, and then they also have all kinds of wonderful charts in them. So I have one in here. Let's see, where's mine? Page 62. I did my Hannah's cookie, sugar cookie recipe. So I did, of course, cookies for Santa. So the chart is in there. So what I want to share with you is that somebody came up with the idea of using the cookbook as a community stitch along. So once you get your cookbook, pick out any one of these charts. And oh my gosh, there's like, I don't know, dozens and dozens of charts in here. So once you pick one out, then stitch it and share it with others on Facebook or any other social media, Instagram. Leave a comment here if you're going to participate and which recipe you're going to use, or actually I should say which chart you're going to use for stitching. But also leave comments if you've tried some of the recipes and you want to tell people how good it was or review it or whatever. So Hannah's butter cookie recipe that's in here is a traditional German butter cookie that my family started making Christmas. I don't know what year I put in here, but I want to say I was 5 or 6 years old. We had just moved to Pennsylvania, and what did I say? Yeah. And the neighbor behind us, we were in a subdivision with, small plots, whatever. But our house backed up to another house, of course. And my mother befriended the woman who lived there, and she was a German war bride who spoke no English. And of course, my mother spoke no German. In fact, my mother spoke with a very decided Virginia drawl. So even people who spoke English had a hard time understanding her. But anyway, but somehow they connected with each other. Hannah brought some of her cookies to my mother. My mother raved about them, communicated that she would love to have the recipe, and Hannah shared it with us, with my mother. Of course, I was 5, so, I wasn't baking actually then. But since then, every Christmas, we had those cookies. I mean, it just was not Christmas without Hannah's butter cookies. And I have since made them every year since I had my own household. So I've been making them since 1970. And so that's the recipe that I put in there. But they are really, really good butter cookies. No calories, of course. So that's one of the things that I'm going to do, again, to try to build community. And that's always been important to me. But somehow making it into verbalizing it as a goal, writing it down as a goal, adds a seriousness to it, and I think will help keep me from meandering. Because it's not like I was laying around doing nothing, but I was reading, I was going for a walk, I was watching TV. I just wasn't getting anything, I wasn't getting anything meaningful done. Maybe I just needed to hibernate for 6 months. I don't know. There is some wisdom and some merit in that. So I'm not going to beat myself up too much about all that. But this is what I want to do going forward. So my next goal is I want to do things that will give me an opportunity to feel a sense of accomplishment. Now, to me, this means learning a new skill or sharpening an old skill. So here's something I'm doing for the first time ever. I'm collaborating with an artist. Her name is Lynn Bird. I met her last fall. I'll tell you more about her, and I'm hoping to actually interview her for one of my FlossTube episodes. But she does art featuring dogs and cats. And so she has given me permission to make cross-stitch charts from her artwork. And so I will be releasing the first one at Nashville next March. Sooner if I can, but I'm not sure that that's going to happen, but we'll see. But that's something new for me, to work with another artist and to take her watercolor interpretation and create cross-stitch for it. The second thing that is already in the works, and some of you have heard about this, we're doing a workshop with Jacob in Amsterdam following the 2026 cruise out of Amsterdam to Norway. So again, this is a first for me to be hosting a 2-day workshop featuring another cross-stitch designer and teacher. So all that information is on the Stitchers Escapes website, and we do still have openings for the workshop. The cruise is full, but there are openings for the actual land-based part of it. We were encouraging Jacob to come on a cruise with us, and he explained very politely. If you've ever met Jacob, you know he's nothing but polite. that he didn't do boats. So that's when we started brainstorming and said, well, when we get back to Amsterdam after our cruise to Norway, let's do a 2-day workshop. So that's what we're doing. So again, all that information is on the website. And I've seen some glimpses of the 2 projects he's going to be teaching. One day will be focused on darning samplers, which is something that has always fascinated me. I've never attempted one. And I have, I already know that I will definitely be stitching his darning sampler. So here's just a little glimpse of what that's going to look like. And then the other day will be focused on Frisian white work. And I love the way Jacob is planning to teach this. White work is a challenge to teach because you're stitching white on white. That's why it's called white work. So it's a challenge for a beginner to actually see the stitches. He's going to teach it in the traditional way, which is using color. And then, so your learning piece is in color on linen. And then when you actually are doing the white work, then you kind of use that as your textbook to know how to stitch it in white on the white linen. So I'll give more information about that next week, I think. But in the meantime, you can see that information on the website. So that's one of my goals I'm already working on. Well, both the thing with Lynn. I mean, I'm 90% finished translating the first piece into cross stitch, and I will be showing that to you as I'm going along. I'm just really excited about it. So third goal is I will do things that give me pleasure. Now, where that translates into my work life, because designing and stitching are things I enjoy. So that's that. But one of the things I found myself doing towards the end of 2025, one of the things I did accomplish, I did have some brand new things for the Nashville show. So again, I got to stop beating myself up too much for all that. Again, I guess the thing that I really didn't get done was the FlossTube videos, and I am feeling maybe a little guilty about that. Anyway, one of the favorite things that came out of my Nashville work is this one, and it's a good day to have a good day. So this was completely inspired by this piece of fabric. I found this fabric in a quilt shop after the 2024 Nashville show. There's a wonderful quilt shop that my friend Karen Owen, who has Cross Stitch Cupboard down in Fort Lauderdale, she and her crew and I went to this quilt shop, and I found this fabric. And I don't wear yellow, so I don't tend to design in yellows, but it just absolutely felt sunny and happy. And then I came up, with this sampler design and this way to do the finishing, which is all explained in the leaflet. So yeah, so this one's already in shops, has been since March. You just haven't heard about it from me because I haven't been doing FlossTube videos. We're fixing that. And goal number 4 is also pretty straightforward. I will do things that bring meaning to my life. So teaching in small ways, in big ways, to small groups, to one person, to a room full of people, to guilds, to shops, to somebody who sits down next to me in the doctor's office when I'm stitching. These are the moments that I feel are the most meaningful to my life. So I will definitely be continuing that. And one of the things that I did for Nashville, that's sort of a cross between the teaching and the stretching, is that I created my first really big book. This is 40 pages, including the cover. So it's, 36 pages plus the cover. And on the inside of the cover is where I have hints and tips on how to use the book. Let me use my other camera here now for a minute. So I called it the Alphabet Workbook because besides having all these charts of alphabets, it also has blank pages so that you can chart your own. And as I said, lots of tips on how to sign your work, how to space the letters, size and coloring, a glossary of lettering terms. So this is a way, again, for me to teach and share. And it was also the biggest effort I've made. No, that's not really fair. It's not the biggest effort. I don't know, just really meaningful when you create something that's a whole book. What I'm really hoping, my goal or my inspiration for this is, to me, this is something every needle worker should have. Whether you ever want to create your own design that includes words, or whether you just want to get the spacing right, or you want to add a name to something and you can't find the right alphabet, I really think that this is a book that everybody will find something useful with it. So that's one of those goals that I kind of was working on, or I guess upon reflecting, here I go with one of my little tangents. Those of you who do Myers-Briggs or know anything about it, I am an ENTJ. And one of the classic things about an ENTJ is they don't know what they think until they hear themselves say it. So one of the things I realized as I was listing goals and objectives for myself is I was able to identify times that I have already been doing them. So again, they aren't necessarily, it's not a big aha moment. It's a matter of focusing and saying, okay, these are things I do scattered. Again, I used the word meander earlier. As I'm meandering, I'm doing these things. But instead of meandering, how about doing it with some focus, with some deliberation? And so that's kind of where I am with that. But the biggest aha moment for me was realizing that making these FlossTube videos is meaningful to me. It allows me to blend all four of those goals. I get to teach, I get to share, I get to inspire, I get to be inspired by. It's definitely, even though I'm sitting here downstairs in our lower level of our home all by myself, I know I'm talking to you. I don't see you right in front of me, but I know that you are there. And when you leave comments, send me emails, send me messages or whatever, I treasure that. It makes it a two-way thing and makes it that much more meaningful for me. So, I hope that if you're one who has left comments in the past, I hope you'll keep doing that. And if you never have, please know I care about what you think. Don't ever say to yourself, oh, she doesn't really want to hear from me. I do. I absolutely do want to hear from you. So please take a moment and leave me a comment. So my unseen audience validates my efforts. And I know that I get that validation not only from your comments, but when I do meet somebody, as they say, in real life, whether it's on one of our cruises or just out and about or at a shop, wherever and whenever, and people tell me that they have enjoyed these videos and that they have learned something from them, that validates me and tells me that my efforts are appreciated, I guess. So this is my reintroduction episode. And during these 6 or 7 months, however long it's been, I have been keeping notes. So I have a big long list of things I want to share with you, topics that have come up, ideas that I want to share. And I have been absent from YouTube, but I have not been absent from paying attention to what's going on. So until next time, I wish all good things to come your way. And I encourage you also to look toward the past, look toward your future, make observations, and make plans. So stitch happy, stay safe, and I'll see you later.